Hello everyone, today is 17th of November, Sunday, so I hope you will have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Now it's about 11:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. Although before I start, let me ask you, if I may, to click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. This is the only way, dear friends, we can somehow try and influence our immensely aggressive algorithm to reach wider audience. So if you can, please consider to help with these likes and comments. And now let's go through some news. First of all, breaking news for this moment, which is that Russian armed forces conducted a relatively large-scale missile and drone strikes on military and logistics infrastructure of the Kiev regime during the last night, early hours this morning. And as I shared on my Telegram this morning, number of sources are reporting that explosions occur in Kiev, Odessa, Dnipropetrovsk, Kryvyi Rog, Rovno, Poltava, Lvov, Khmelnytsk, and Volyn, and number of other regions and directions. Also this morning, our Ministry of Energy of Ukraine announced emergency power outages, which definitely indicates that one of the main targets during the strike was energy infrastructure of the Kiev regime. About an hour ago, number of Russian sources reported that during this including Slaviangrad, for example, according to which during these strikes, one of the directions was Ivano-Frankovsk, Bukovel direction, where near Mukachevo settlement there is a transformer station which is allowing Kiev regime to import energy from neighboring Slovakia, Romania, and Hungary. And reports are that that station transformer center was significantly damaged, so Kiev regime will struggle now to import energy from EU member states, at least for a time being. Of course, more details are needed to have a better understanding of the scale of today's strikes or last night's strikes. And if any updates on the topic, I will share additional information on my Telegram channel and the next updates. Also, dear friends, when it comes to situational line of contact, let me give you an update that Russian armed forces, as a result of local-scale offensive operations, established control over the Makarovka settlement in Vremovsky salient area and are getting closer and closer to Blagodatnaya and Starozhevoye settlements. If you remember, a couple of days ago, I predicted that Russian troops most likely will establish full control over their Makarovka, and this information confirmed now about liberation of Makarovka by number of sources. Also, Russian troops, of course, continue offensive operation in South Donetsk, Pokrovsk sectors, further improving their positions. Main hotspot right now is, of course, Kurakhova, and according to latest reports, Russian armed forces are controlling now more than half of this strategical settlement for a current time. And I remind you, dear friends, that Kurakhova was used as one of the major logistical hub by Kiev regime when it comes to central and southern sectors of the front line. Also, Russian sources are reporting about liberation of Grigorievka settlement on Pokrovsk sector, and Russian troops are conducting clearing operation in Petrovka settlement right now, which is located on northern western side of Grigorievka. Also, Russian troops are further improving positions all along the front line of, Toretsk, Seversk, Kupiansk directions. As I reported in my previous updates, Russian troops already are conducting operations inside the Kupiansk town, and also interesting reports are coming in that Russian troops are established control over their Sotnitsky Kazachok settlement on a border between this is Chernigov, Kharkov region, yes. Sotnitsky Kazachok, this is the settlement right on the border between Kharkov region and Russian Federation. And earlier I reported about Russian operations in Chernigov region, where Russian DRGs crossed the border and entered a number of settlements, Murovki, Kolos, Novoselovka, and basically demonstrated Russian flag there and demonstrated that Kyiv regime's defense lines in Chernigov direction are quite weak. So anytime basically we may see Russian further increase in this Russian cross-border raids, and maybe even beginning of the creation of their buffer zone in the Chernigov region. That's a possibility. Anyways, initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line, of course, and in no circumstances Kyiv regime will be able to regain initiative ever on any direction. We have this report from Kommersant newspaper that in Black Sea, Russian armed forces during their nighttime neutralized nighttime early hours this morning, neutralized 4 naval drones of the Kyiv regime that were moving in direction of Crimea. And I guess these maritime drones were launched by Kyiv regime with their active participation and support of British intelligence and militaries, which is always the case when it comes to this long-range strikes with the drones, maritime drones or aerial drones on the southern sectors of the front line. Usually it's British personnel, that military and intelligence personnel, that are overseeing all this operation and planning basically, and providing Kyiv regime with targeting data. RBK News agency is reporting and confirming basically, as many other media outlets, that yes, there was a phone call on Friday between a Russian president and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Of course, all of you are familiar with this information. Friday late evening by local time, and yesterday all day many channels spoke about it. I had day off yesterday, so I could not. And even if I had an update, I would not spend too much time on this phone call, because Scholz is outgoing chancellor of the Germany, not really plays a key role on a geopolitical chessboard. And I'm a bit even surprised, to be frank, that Russian president spent their entire hour to talk to this person, Scholz. Okay, sides express their opinions about Ukrainian crisis mainly, and that's about it. Nothing really to tell about that conversation. It was meaningless, and that's why I'm surprised that Russian president, for whatever reasons, and he knows better, obviously, he is a Russian president, but me as an ordinary citizen, I can tell you that I'm a bit disappointed and surprised that he spent hour of his work day talking to this nobody, Olaf Scholz, nobody on a geopolitical chessboard, right? Anyways, let's continue. TASS News Agency is reporting that Trump may appoint someone named Boris Epstein as his representative in terms of Ukrainian crisis, special representative. This is not yet confirmed officially. This person, Boris Epstein, is born in Moscow, as far as I understand. He has Russian roots, and maybe that's why he might be chosen. He's a lawyer and Trump's ally, assistant, one may argue, and well, we will find out. I never ever heard this name before. I don't know what he be able to bring on the table. Time will tell. But well, yes, New York Times reported initially that this individual may be appointed as a special envoy of Trump on Ukrainian crisis. RT is reporting that the Pentagon reveals total cost of aid to Kyiv regime. So the US Congress has allocated $182.99 billion to Ukraine since the beginning of the Russia's military operation in February 2022, according to a report from the Pentagon's Inspector General released on Thursday. So, well, officially, at least, Pentagon allocated 182.99 billion. Overall spending of the Washington through different institutions, different means, at this point probably are over 250 billion. I'm quite sure about it. And if you add the volume of money that EU member states and some other members of the collective West allocated for Kiev regime, maybe we are talking about something like, I don't know, 4 to 500 billion at this point in all spendings, which is quite a lot. Which is quite a lot. This proxy war that the collective West is waging against Russia is very expensive for them, for the West. Also, it's not a cheap endeavor, and they will fail. They already failed, and they will continue to fail because they're not gonna achieve a strategic defeat of Russia as they were dreaming about. And my hope is that at one point, citizens of the collective West countries will wake up, majority, and will start asking questions: what the hell is going on when infrastructure is crumbling, economies are not really feeling well, there are so many issues with the social fabric, and this time you are spending hundreds of billions of these Nazis and the terrorists to support them in a Kiev. What the hell, man? I mean, I don't know. There's legit questions to be asked, although will majority of Western societies wake up anytime soon? I don't know, that's a big question. Anyways, RT is reporting that Elon Musk, ally of Trump and future member of the Trump's new administration, is mocking Zelensky's sense of humor and Zelensky himself. So Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky has an amazing sense of humor if he thinks that his country cannot be forced to their negotiating table by the US SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, close confidant of their president-elect Donald Trump, has said, speaking to Ukrainian radio on Saturday. Zelensky was asked whether he has been pressured by the Trump to agree on a peace talks with Russia, and then, quote, "We are an independent Ukraine." Okay, independent, of course. Zelensky responded, adding that he personally, in his negotiations with the United States and with Trump, US President-elect, and also with the current President Biden and other European leaders, has demonstrated that he cannot be told to sit and listen. Of course, man. This, this actor is going out of his boundaries that he is allowed to act. I guess, and he will be teach a lesson for that. And basically, Elon Musk mocked him because it is laughable, man. Zelensky is talking about that he cannot be told to do this or that. Who the hell are you? For God's sake, you are just a dirty puppet of CIA. That's all, And CIA has thousands of very similar dirty assets all around the world. You are no any better than any other puppets, right? You are just nobody, literally nobody. So it is laughable, of course, and Elon Musk, he laughed at him, rightfully so. I remind you, dear friends, that Western financial institutions like World Bank and International Monetary Fund directly said on a couple of occasions that without Western assistance, financial assistance, for example, Kiev would not be able to maintain state institutions. Kiev regime will just collapse almost straight away. Entirely in its spendings, Kiev regime almost entirely dependent on Western money, right? And this is acknowledged by Western financial institutions. No one can say that IMF or World Bank is controlled by Russia, right? Because it's not the case. Anyways, US Democrats, meanwhile, are too obsessed with number of potential appointments that Trump will make with number of people, including Elon Musk, and US Democrats want Musk probe for Russia ties. So this Russia Gate stuff, by the way, is not going away. I mean, these neolips is not going away. I mean, these neolips and neocons and so on, they really are obsessed with Russia. They have Russia deranged syndrome or something, and they think these tactics will work when they are basically not just demonizing Russia, but trying to demonize all their opponents by accusations that they are somehow tied with Russia or Russian assets and so on. It did not work with Trump, right? It will not work with in regards to Elon Musk or anybody else, by the way. Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, and many others were accused that they were assets, right? Russian assets. This is the level of political culture in US right now when Democrats are accusing their opponents for treason, basically, without providing any evidences. And this is very serious accusations, isn't it? I was always frustrated when such a tactics was deployed, by the way, for example, in Georgia by Saakashvili's regime against everybody who was critical of regime, including myself, by the way. I was accused being Russian asset when I had no connection with Russia whatsoever. My citizenship was taken by Saakashvili's regime from me in 2009 under false pretext that I am somehow Russian citizen and even have a different surname. They did some crazy criminal stuff, by the way. They falsificate my personal data through state institutions and went for quite a length to talk my citizenship. And after that, for 11 years until 2021, I was a stateless person because I never had Russian citizenship before, right? I received Russian citizenship only in 2021. And it was terrible, obviously, to experience this attack of system and their puppets of the system. And it was difficult in many ways to deal with this avalanche of their pressure, psychological pressure included, right? And but same time, I was not that surprised because Georgia never pretended to be beacon of democracy or leading democracy of this world like US does, right? And now very same stuff is happening in US, by the way. And neolips, neocons, deep state or intelligence community, they are using similar tactics that they teach Saakashvili's regime. They are using similar tactics now inside US. And they are trying to blackmail people, citizens of US that have a different opinion, which is crazy, by the way. It clearly demonstrates how much political class, political culture has degenerated in US. And Elon Musk, by the way, has the opportunity to fight back. Obviously, he is the richest man in this world. He has a X platform, right? So he has a platform to answer to all these psychos that attacking him, and he will. I believe he promised to nuke all of them, not literally, but news-wise. So SpaceX CEO Elon Musk should be investigated over media claims that he communicated with several senior Russian officials in recent years. Two top US Democratic senators have demanded in a letter. Jack Reed, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, I mean, high-ranking official, by the way, I will say, right? Chairman of the Senate's Armed Services Committee. And also Jean Shaheen, a senior member of the Foreign Relations Committee, raised concerns about the media allegations in a letter to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland and the Pentagon Inspector General Robert Storth on Friday. So yes, let them investigate, by the way. Let them investigate, but I'm quite sure Trump will retaliate and will retaliate with force against these psychos. And he has every means to do it, right? Because it's not normal when you are accusing your political opponent with all sorts of nonsense because it's just serious. People should not act that way. If you have any evidences, okay, go ahead. But you know, if not, then just shut up and you know, do whatever job people give you to do. I don't think U.S. citizens are paying wages for these senators to basically blackmail U.S. citizens. Right? Let's continue. And RT is reporting that Israel destroyed an Iranian nuclear site during the October strike, according to Axios. Israel destroyed the secret nuclear weapons site during its missile strike against Iran in October, Axios claimed on Friday, citing people familiar with the matter. The Israeli Defense Forces struck the Telegan 2 facility in the Parchin military complex around 20 miles southeast of Tehran, Axios said, citing 3 unnamed US officials, 1 current Israeli official and 1 former Israeli official. Former Israeli official told their outlet that their strike destroyed sophisticated equipment used to make explosives for the detonation of the nuclear devices. So I don't know, dear friends, if we can believe in this report of Axios or not. Nowadays, we literally cannot trust no report in Western media. Too much propaganda, too much fake news. And therefore, I mean, I'm giving you this news because Russian media pay attention to it. Also, a report from Axios, but it's up to us what to believe. Me personally, I definitely don't believe that Israel targeted a facility in which Iran was working on devices to explode nuclear bomb. Iran is not working on nuclear weapons, so therefore, Israel could not target site where work was done on nuclear weapons because it's just non-existent, right? Iran's leadership was very clear that they are not working on nuclear weapons, and I believe that they don't work on nuclear weapons because nukes will not make Iran any more safe, right? Because Iran will they can, technically speaking, they can acquire nukes if they want to, but Iran will become nuclear. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, a number of other countries in the region gonna try to do the same, and it will not make Iran or region any safer, right? It's just logical. Right? I believe diplomatic attention of the regional countries should be diverted on demilitarizing Israel's nuclear capabilities, right? International community should be focused on Israel and demand thorough investigation, demand IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency's staff to be able to inspect Israel's nuclear facilities. And if if Israel really has nuclear weapons, it should give up its nuclear weapons, as South Africa did, by the way, after apartheid regime collapsed, right? Many people may forget, but South Africa is the only country in this world that voluntarily give up nukes, right? And Israel should undergo a similar process. Israel should get rid of its nukes, right? That's my take on the situation, and the entire regional countries, diplomacy and international communities, diplomatic efforts should be directed on that, to basically denuclearize Israel. That's the way to go, because I mean, if Iran and Turkey and Saudi Arabia and other countries in the region start also acquiring nukes, that will make this world definitely, you know, that will increase risks like never before, isn't it? So I don't know, you tell me if you believe Axios and its sources. I clearly don't, because yet again, according to former Israeli official, strike destroyed their sophisticated equipment used to make explosives for the detonation of the nuclear devices. So if Iran is not working on nuclear devices, then what kind of explosives for this detonation were created in that facility. It does not make no sense to me personally. But anyways, let's continue this news. I remind you, dear friends, that Iranian leadership stated a number of days ago that they are considering potential retaliatory strike for a recent Israeli attack. But hopefully, Tehran will exercise restraint because it's Netanyahu and his regime and Western ruling class that want to provoke regional war. No one else wants regional war to happen in the Middle East, right? So if Netanyahu's regime is unable to act as adults, then Tehran has to. RT is reporting that UK aircraft carriers sank in war games. This was reported by Times. So both of British aircraft carriers, which are set to serve as a backbone of the Royal Navy, would have a major battlefield vulnerabilities in a potential conflict with their near-peer adversary. The Times reported on Friday, citing sources. A defense source told their paper that the UK military had run a whole lot of scenarios simulating a full-scale conflict in which their Navy's ability to survive was tested against their overwhelming force. The war games, the details of which are secret, involved HMS Queen Elizabeth, the fleet's current flagship aircraft carrier that you can see on this photo, by the way, and also fleet's second aircraft carrier, exact copy of the Queen Elizabeth, HMS Prince of Wales, which were commissioned in 2017 and 2019, and both carriers, by the way, constantly experiencing some technical difficulties, almost always out of almost always something is breakdown on these aircraft carriers. Recently, there was massive exercises of NATO in Baltics or Northern Sea, and UK was unable to send its Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier because something break down again. So these carriers, in any way, anyways, are just garbage. By the way, let's be real. I mean, these are garbage, right? And during the exercises, basically, British Royal Navy learned it additionally that both their aircraft carriers are just a fleeting cans that don't really mean anything in modern warfare. So designed to project UK power across the globe, both vessels can carry up to 40 aircraft, including advanced F-35B Lightning II stealth fighters. Yet another garbage, by the way. US made their so-called 5th gen fighter bombers. F-35 is most expensive garbage ever created, I guess, when it comes to fighter aviation. Anyways, and can host helicopters for anti-submarine warfare as well as their troops transports. A Times source familiar with the situation admitted that in most war games, the carriers get sunk, unsurprisingly so, adding that the ships are particularly vulnerable to missiles. One military official explained that their Navy command stretches everything to their limit during these test runs. At some point, you will get to a scenario where the carrier is sunk, he said. And well, I mean, this is not really surprising for me, at least. I don't really need to learn about British military exercises to know perfectly well that if UK will ever end up in a conflict with a near-peer adversary, British Armed Forces, Navy, Royal Air Force gonna be crushed in a relatively short time. And British Navy nowadays is not even shadow of former glory, by the way. It's almost non-existent, right? UK has like 4 Vanguard nuclear-capable submarines, right, that are carrying Trident ICBMs, and almost never all 4 submarines are operational. Even 2 submarines are not always operational from these 4, right? And UK has these 2 relatively new aircraft carriers, Queen Elizabeth and Prince of Wales, and both are floating cans, man, garbage. It's a laughing stock. Everybody is laughing at these carriers, man. Nothing to be said about some other vessels that UK has that are much older. And recently there was a report in one of the British media outlets, by the way, in one of the destroyers, relatively new destroyers, area where missiles should be placed was transformed to a gym. You know why? Because there are no missiles. There was no missiles. There was no money allocated for Navy to basically install these missile systems. And because there was a room that could be used for something, it was transformed to a gym. That's the current state of British Navy, by the way, for your end. It's a total joke, man. That's why I laugh whenever I hear some strong statements from British militaries or politicians that, you know, they can do this and that. And when they start barking towards us, it makes me laugh because, I mean, let's be real, man. You don't have an army, you don't have a navy, you don't have an air force. Only reason why UK's military can be received as a somewhat more or less significant force is nuclear weapons. UK has some 200 or 300 nuclear warheads. That's all. You know. Anyways, let's continue. TASS News Agency is reporting that Abazia, president of Abazia, where disturbances are taking place for last couple of days, initially refused to, agree on the demands of the protesters and resign. Then he said that he will resign if protesters will leave governmental buildings. Some disturbances are happening, by the way, in this breakaway republic from Georgia. This is the Abkhazia, by the way. During the Soviet era, Abkhazia was an autonomous republic inside the Georgia Soviet Socialist Republic. Then, unfortunately, conflict had happened between Tbilisi and Sukhumi, and eventually, after 2008, Russia recognized independence of Abkhazia, and their constant internal struggle among local political clans or groups, and current unrest is no any different, really. As I reported, it was my second update on Friday. Russian Foreign Ministry called Russian citizens to flee Abkhazia as soon as possible to stay on the safe side. And well, let's see if sides, by the way, will manage to de-escalate. But what I can tell you, by the way, I guess Moscow is kind of tired already with this constant instability in Abkhazia. Sometimes it seems like local politicians, they don't know themselves what they want. They are all about. Maybe my understanding is wrong, but as far as I can see, there is constant struggle for more power, more control over some money flow in and out of republic, and that's all about it, right? And currently, reasoning for disturbances is that Abkhazia was about to ratify agreement with Russia about security of the investments, Russian investments in general, including Russian investments, and local opposition is unhappy. At least formally, that was the reason. They were saying that, well, if this agreement is ratified, then Russians gonna buy up apartments and some facilities, this and that may drive up prices. Cost of living gonna increase. But on the other hand, they want Russian money, they want Russian investments. I mean, you want Russian investments, but you don't want to guarantee that these investments are secure. What the hell, man? It does not work that way, right? So therefore, I don't even know how the situation gonna resolve there. And from what I see, by the way, in statements in Russian media from Russian high-ranking officials, Moscow is kind of tired of this nonsense, really, and just observing the situation, really. And as a friendly nation, Moscow is just calling for de-escalation, for stability, and this and that. But clearly, Moscow is trying to stay away. Just leave us alone, for God's sake, man. And that's my understanding of Moscow's attitude towards this situation, because yet again, by the way, every couple of years there is such disturbances. Abkhazia desperately needs investments, but same time there's always some groups that are against her giving some guarantees, security guarantees to the investments. Who's gonna invest then? I mean, why would anybody invest if you are not willing to secure these investments? This is I don't know, man. I don't get it. Maybe I don't understand something. Who knows, man? But as I said many times before, by the way, in my personal opinion, best way to go for Tbilisi, Sukhumi, and Tskhinvali. And Tskhinvali, by the way, is capital of South Ossetia. This area here, which is also recognized by Russia as an independent state. After 3 decades of struggle for independence, and in 2008, as you know, Saakashvili, the regime, reignite civil war in South Ossetia, and as a result of confrontation, including with eventual Russian involvement, Moscow made decision to recognize this republic. I guess Russia's leadership see this as the only way to somehow try and guarantee that Tbilisi will no longer attempt to resolve issues militarily. And yes, I believe for Tbilisi, capital of Georgia, for Tskhinvali and Sukhumi, best way to go forward is to start negotiations, at least start work on idea of reuniting under the confederation, with a moratorium to leave confederation for let's say 25 years, with voluntary moratorium on leaving confederation for 25 years. And it's not going to be easy process to reach this confederation, but it will work. I'm 100% convinced on that. And once all sides will live in peace and prosperity for 2 to 3 decades, I'm quite sure no one side after 20-30 years will say, you know what, now we want to go our own ways. No, confederation will succeed, and it will bring more stability to Abkhazia also, in my understanding, because this republic is just too unstable. There's constant disturbances and this and that, which is no good, by the way, especially for ordinary people. I mean, for politicians, this is all games, right? But it's ordinary people that usually are struggling as a result of any instability anywhere, right? Let's continue with some more news. And RT is reporting that Russia restricts uranium exports to US, which is a quite big deal. So the Russian government has announced a temporary cap on the exports of enriched uranium to US. The move is in response to a ban by Washington on purchases of the Russian nuclear fuel. According to a document published online by the Russian government on Friday, the measure also concerns exports under foreign trade agreement with persons registered within the US jurisdiction, and exceptions was made for supplies under one-time license issued by the Federal Service to Technical and Export Control. So, well, US, I believe, buys some 20 to 30% of its nuclear fuel from Russia, maybe more. And this is a big deal. That's why I'm saying that if Russia will really cut exports of enriched uranium to US, that's gonna be a big deal. That's gonna be a big deal. because US itself right now, of course, can enrich uranium, not just for use in nuclear power stations, but also for military purposes. But volume of production of enriched uranium is so low that US now in no position to basically supply its all of its nuclear reactors, and that's why they are buying Russian fuel, right? And if they have no reserves of enriched uranium, and if this Russian ban will stay in active for years to come, then US most likely will start experiencing some big issues when it comes to powering their nuclear power stations. RIA Novosti is reporting that Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand received become basically partner states of the BRICS, which is a big deal. Obviously, by the way, all three countries are major economies in Southeast Asia. So BRICS definitely is gaining not just popularity, but strength and influence, because just take a look at their member states, by the way, number of member states and number of partner states, and you will see how you will see potential when it comes to BRICS. It is becoming a main powerhouse, by the way, this organization, which will benefit all of its members and all of its partner states. And I believe partner states, there will be stages, isn't it, to become BRICS member states. And on the current state, once you become a partner of the BRICS, then it's only invitation left. Once you will receive invitation from BRICS and you will agree on that, then that's it. You become a BRICS member state. I guess in 2025, 2026, at least 5 to 7, potentially 10 countries, other countries will join BRICS, if not more. Also, dear friends, Udila newspaper is reporting that US foreign debt first time surpassed $36 trillion, which is quite a lot, by the way, quite a lot. Just recently we learned from Elon Musk, isn't it, that US is already pays to service its debt more than $1 trillion a year. Can you imagine, by the way? Just for interest, US is paying over $1 trillion every single year, by the way. This is crazy. And this number is constantly growing. Now it's 36 trillion. Towards the end of 2025, number will be probably 37, 38 trillion, because I don't think Trump and his administration gonna be able to really cut down on spending that much. Even if Elon Musk is very keen to cut governmental spending on 2 trillion, but it's not gonna be easy. And remember what I said a couple of days ago, that most likely during the Trump's administration, Washington will spend even more on defense, for example. And now we are receiving some reports that that's exactly what Trump gonna do. He's going to increase military spending, which is right now stands on some 700 to 800 million, 760 or 860 billion dollars are current budget, and it's gonna increase further. So probably during the Trump's administration, Pentagon's budget first time will reach $1 trillion a year. Just we will see, by the way, we will see. And dear friends, if I may, I will end this update on that term. Hopefully you will find this video informative and interesting. I will just check right now media outlets for any breaking news. Pro-Russian Underground is reporting that during the nighttime, as a result of this long-range precise strikes, 63 objects were targeted on Kyiv-controlled territory. Quite a number, quite a number, and significant part of it is energy infrastructure, as far as I understand. So I don't see some additional updates on or I don't see any breaking news for this particular moment. Former head of Georgia's defense ministry, David Kazarashvili, is under wanted list in Georgia now, and there is so former Georgian defense ministry Kazarashvili put on international wanted list by Georgia's security services. Quite interesting. This person, by the way, Kazarashvili, is one of their plays key role, as far as I understand, to tunnel some funds from outside of Georgia into Georgia, and in this process, Western secret services are actively involved, as far as I understand. This person was funding also this so-called pro-Western media, pro-Western politicians and the parties. So not surprisingly, Tbilisi is taking some steps to minimize the risks of outsider involvement into the country. So interesting, and that's it. That's it, by the way, for now. Relatively long update, but hopefully you will find it informative, interesting, and useful. And if so, let me ask you once again to click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. Maybe we will manage to overcome obstacles that algorithm is creating, and maybe my video, these or next videos, will somehow end up in recommendations. Who knows? And for same reason, by the way, if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends that may have an interest in news from Russia. And finally, if you like my work, if you want to see further development of this project, please consider to support with a small donation through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page and the page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on a regular basis. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care.